Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the next edition of the Cybiant webinar series. Today, we're going to present to you a very relevant topic in today's day and age. We're going to be talking about the automation and streamlining of processes for an effective return to the workplace. As you probably know and have experienced, the effects of the current pandemic are impacting almost every organization. And lots of companies are really struggling with what are the steps that they need to take in order to make sure that they can go back to work in a secure environment. So today we'll showcase one of the solutions that we've developed in partnership with our partner Symphony Summit, and we'll show you a bit of a demo on how that works today. Before we get started, let me introduce a couple of house rules that we have with every webinar. First of all, you need to know that this session is being recorded. So if you lose connection halfway throughout the webinar, or if you would like to review anything that we discussed earlier, or would like to see a particular feature that we showcased, rest assured that you will receive the recording of the demo after the call. If you've registered through our Zoom platform, you will automatically receive the webinar recording, and we will also upload this on YouTube so you can find it very easily. The second key thing I need to note is that you can see on the right-hand side that you can ask questions. So questions, everybody in the webinar has been placed on mute because we have so many attendees. So if you have any questions, please ask them through the Q&A box, which you see at the right, and then we will answer all questions towards the end of the webinar itself. Last but not least, we always really value your feedback on our webinar series. We do these things quite regularly, so we would really like to know what kind of topics you would like to learn more about in the future as well. So after the webinar, you will receive an automated survey. So please take 1 minute of your time to fill this out, because we really read all of them and make our new webinar planning based upon these results. So that's a little bit of history. Before we get started, let me take a quick moment to introduce myself. My name is Jan Willem Middelburg, and I'm one of the founders of Cybiant, and I'm based in Kuala Lumpur. Our company Cybiant has the mission to make a more sustainable world for the next generation, and we're doing that using data and automation. I think that this is really one of the topics today that really matches that particular mission. I've also written a couple of books, most notably the Service Automation Framework and the Enterprise Big Data Framework, and this is what we try to put into practice at our company Cybiant. On the left-hand side, you can see my contact details. So if you would like to reach out or connect with me on LinkedIn afterwards, here are my contact details. So please feel free to reach out to me at any time. What are we going to talk about in today's webinar? First of all, I will do a very brief introduction. I'm not going to give a lot of information about the global pandemic because I think everybody is aware of that. But we are going to focus in on a particular aspect of that. And that is, what are the key priorities that companies need to think about when the workplace starts to reopen? In a lot of countries today, the lockdowns are being lifted, or companies and economies are slowly reopening again. But that leaves a lot of questions, especially for professional businesses. How do you deal with the people that need to go back to work? How do you ensure that you have safe processes in place? And what do you do if another case of COVID is reported, either with one of your partners, one of your suppliers, or even one of your own employees? These are some of the key questions that we're going to be addressing today. And what we've done together with Summit is that we have developed the Safe Workplace Enabler Suite, which is a technology solution based upon automation and service automation concepts that can provide organizations with the tools that they need in order to ensure that they do that. And we do this for two particular reasons. The first of all is we want companies to open up quickly again and making sure that people feel that they have the possibility to go back to work again. The second key reason why companies implement this is because of their employees, and making sure that you have compliant rules and regulations. And in most countries, this is now referred to as SOPs, standard operating procedures, to ensure that you have that in place. After that introduction from my side, I'm going to hand over to our partner Kishore, who is from SummitAI, and he will provide a live demonstration of this particular Safe Workplace Enabler suite and run you through some of the basic processes. After the demonstration, we will open up for interactive Q&A. So I either can give you the opportunity to speak, or if you have any questions, please post them in the chat or the Q&A, and I will moderate all of the different questions that are coming through. So let's get started. Every company in the world today has to deal with the COVID situation, whether you like it or not. And in order to make sure that you can get back to work in an efficient and a safe manner, there are a number of key priorities that are there for almost every business, and that they need to start thinking about when their workplace is reopened. As I mentioned before, in a lot of countries today, the lockdowns are being eased or lifted completely. So this is really a good time for companies to start making those preparations. If we look at those key priorities, and you see them here right on the screen, it all starts with making sure that you provide a safe workplace. And that safe workplace is there for a number of reasons. Obviously, you want to make sure that your employees are safe and whether they are able to come back to work. And one of the key topics that we will talk about today is how do you do an employee survey before people go back to the office? And how can you identify whether people have run a particular risk and whether they should stay at home or work from home? So these are some of the key things that we will look about. A second key reason is that you want to make sure that you enable a safe workplace, especially for your employees. As you will have noticed in lots of organizations, there are a lot of big concerns from employees on what to do when they need to return to the workplace. Some people are anxious, some people have questions, and this solution that we're presenting provides a solution so that everybody in the organization can reach out to the self-service portal or to the Safe Workplace Solution portal, and there ask questions, see what the company policy is, let people know what they're preferring. So it's also a great way to distribute information and get people familiar with the company policies that have been enacted by the company itself. And this is especially true for companies that have multiple sites across the world or in different cities in a particular country. How do you streamline that information? So that's something that we will also show you in the demo. Last but not least, it's really important to start tracking. And I think this is the third key reason that you would need to make sure that you have a technology in place when the workplace reopens. It is now mandatory by almost every government to have a standard operating procedure in place when you're returning to the workplace. And this is something that you might have noticed. In your particular country, it might be mandatory, for instance, to wear masks or to have hand sanitizer, or to make sure that you do a temperature tracking every day you enter the building. So because this has a lot of logistics aspects, so for instance, measuring every day who comes into a building, who has been into which particular rooms, is something that requires a lot of logistic planning. The good news is that technology and automated processes are primarily and optimally suited to provide a guidance there. And this will make it very easy to have very good and accurate registration on, for instance, how many supplies are there left, when did people check into a particular room, and who has been there before. So that in case a new case of COVID is detected, you will know exactly what to do. And together, all of these aspects and all these key priorities that you see here on the screen, they result in one other important aspect, and that is that you have reporting in place. And this is, I think, from my conversations with customers, one of the key things that companies struggle with. Yes, they keep track of who enters the building, but all of that is now done in Excel spreadsheets or other, sometimes even paper forms. So with this particular solution, you have all your data in one centralized location, and you can act upon any incident immediately. Because the thing with COVID is as follows: if a new case is detected, You can't wait for 24 hours before you take action. You should do it immediately. And a system like this will give you the tools in order to take action immediately. So let's look a little bit how that works. As I mentioned before, there's a number of key questions that people and in functional leaders in organizations have, and they are all from different aspects of the organization. For instance, think about HR functions in an organization. They want to make sure that they provide information to employees. So they ask questions like, how do I provide easy access to information on health and safety in the organization? And the second question, what is the best way to gather employee feedback and provide platform to listen to concerns? Facilities might have some other problems. They will have questions like, how do we record the employee screening better? And how do we track, for instance, whether we still have enough face masks? Last but not least, people from the administrations department would, for instance, have questions like, I need to assign a track task and I would like to allocate that. Or how can I monitor cleaning tasks better and would know that workplace sanitation has been carried out with regards to our policies. So as you can see, there's lots of different questions that COVID brings to a lot of different departments in the organization. And what we try to do with this solution is combine all of these questions and provide one integrated self-service solution where all the different disciplines in an organization can work together to deal with the situation as it currently is. And let me be the first one to say that in the ideal world, we probably wouldn't want to need this solution, but we're just confronted with it. And I think now that we need to live with COVID for the foreseeable future, it's best to start preparing for it accordingly. So what can we do in order to keep workplaces safe? Well, we've seen in the previous couple of slides that there's a lot of processes that need to be taken place. And those are best captured in what I refer to as standard operating procedures. You need to make sure that people check in every day. You need to measure their temperature. You need to stock up on supplies. You need to track travel history of people. And all of these things have in common is that they're processes and they need to happen every day. And this makes them highly repetitive and therefore also prone to human error. And I think if you have gone to a mall in recent weeks, or if you've been to a restaurant, you see that when you start checking in and you see the list of where people write their names and record their temperatures, that it's almost barely possible to read those lists. So you can imagine that if people need to do these repetitive things every day, you will get a lot of human errors. And therefore, this is a task that is very much suitable to be automated. And that's exactly what we've done. Next, what we want to make sure is that we engage with our employees. So this particular solution, because it's a self-service platform, enables everybody, wherever they work in the world, to engage with the company and have, for instance, questions answered or review company policy. From a management perspective, it's also very useful, and I will showcase this in the upcoming sections, is that you have all your management reporting. You will see exactly who has entered a particular building, whether people are coming back to the workplace, what the travel history of your employees is. So you have this one source of truth of information with regards to your COVID status. And what that also means is that you can showcase to the rest of the world, to auditors and even to government agencies, that you are in control and that you provide a safe workplace environment. And I think that even though the primary objective is to provide a safe workplace for employees, a secondary objective is to showcase to the relevant authorities that you're complying to the rules and regulations that have been set. So from a compliancy point of view, through all the dashboards and the management information that we provide, you can really start to provide a safe workplace environment that is also trackable and that's traceable for anybody who has any questions. And in case any form of COVID is detected, you will know exactly where that person has been, and you can alert all of your employees accordingly. Last but not least, I also want to say something about the benefits of artificial intelligence in this particular section. Because we know these processes, we can apply artificial intelligence algorithms to already make predictions on what will be the likely things that need to change in order to make sure that we prevent COVID the next time. So this is really where the power of AI comes in. And this is something we'll show in the demo a little bit later as well. So what have we developed together with Summit? Well, the Summit Safe Workplace Solution executes 15 use case workflows that have all been pre-developed and or already integrated within the tool itself. A number of the top ones that we're going to show today in the demo is, for instance, employee health status recording. So asking everybody before they join back in the office to fill out an employee health status recording. Take into account that we're not taking over the role of the doctor. So we're not asking people for a medical checkup, but we just ask people to provide them their information so that we can make a relevant assessment whether it's safe for them to return back to the workplace. After that, we want to make sure that we do employee health screening on a daily basis. So making sure that every day people check in, that we record temperature and make sure that they follow the standard operating procedures. And this can all be done through an app the moment people walk into a building. We also want to make sure that we have contact tracing. So we know exactly who has been on what particular buildings, on which floors. And as you will see in the demo, we can even start addressing whether people have been to public areas, like for instance, a library or the canteen. And then we have a couple of workflows that have been embedded, which are, for instance, to automate inventory management and to see exactly how many supplies we still have there, and that we can do cleaning schedules and sanitation activities. And we can even make sure that as soon as a COVID case is detected, an automated work order is sent to a sanitation company to make sure that they come clean the building immediately. So although I can explain all of the processes that are possible to do so, you could basically say that we can categorize them into three main aspects. And these are the same three functional areas that we discussed earlier. First of all, there's the processes that are targeted to employees directly. So here you see the things on the left-hand side. Things like taking the employee readiness survey, checking into the office, reporting travel history, or for instance, something as simple as requesting to work from home. All of these are processes that need to be executed on a day-to-day basis. And these can be automated completely with the technology that we're going to showcase to you in the next few minutes. Then in the middle, you see all of the more logistics aspects that need to be carried out. Think about managing vendors, doing things like guest appointments, and tracking exactly who has been to your buildings. We also want to make sure that we have alert notifications, that as soon as any kind of health risk is notified, that we can notify everybody immediately who has been to that particular building. Think about notifications through email, but we can even send out digital text, SMS messages to inform people that there might be a new case. All of these are aspects that need to be dealt with through facilities, HR, or even emergency response teams. And all of these are process driven. So they are prone to automation and they can be executed in an automated fashion. Last but not least, we see the processes that are executed on the right-hand side, which are more on a management point of view. We want to make sure that we can monitor and track and make sure that we have insights 24/7 and real time of what is happening in the organization. At the end of the day, you want to know exactly who has been in your buildings, what the temperature readings were, and what is the risk with every individual employee. So from a management point of view, you would like to centralize all of this information so that you can also showcase to the relevant authorities that you're working compliant to your SOPs. And what we see happening in the world today is that a lot of companies now get their licenses renewed only if they can showcase that their SOPs are working. So this particular solution gives you a one-stop shop where you can immediately showcase that everything that you're doing is according to the standard operating procedures. And I think that's a big business benefit. So in order to summarize, because I would like to spend a bit more time on the demo today, is key benefits for HR are making sure that people can have the automation in place to return to the workplace safely, and that you take care of your employees and provide a safe and controlled environment that is free of COVID in the best possible way that you can do it. Will this system prevent any case or outbreak ever happening again? The answer is obviously going to be no. But I always believe that if you make the best possible preparations, you can greatly reduce the risk that anything happens. And if a particular risk materializes, that you take the appropriate actions to mitigate that. And from an HR perspective, this is really important. From the facilities perspective, we need to make sure that all the processes are executed on a daily basis. Things like checking in, providing the necessary equipment, knowing which places have been sanitized, and planning new sanitization accordingly. All of these are logistical processes that every big company will need, and they need to be tracked and monitored on a daily basis. And last but not least, the management perspective. From the CIO and leadership, they want to make sure that the systems that they provide enable them with the management information, and it can actually enhance digital transformation of the entire organization. By introducing a self-service portal where people can go and ask all of their COVID questions, it might be a very good way to start learning how to work in this digital world. So a side benefit of doing this necessary step is that you can also really accelerate digital transformation in the organization. The more important aspect, however, I think, is to also track compliancy and to really ensure that everybody that wants to see what has happened in the organization can have a real-time overview. So these are some of the key aspects that the technology that we will showcase will provide. So I think everybody on the call will be very anxious to see what the actual tool will look like. So I'm going to hand over here to Kishore from SummitAI, who is going to give a live demonstration of the particular Safe Workplace Enabler Suite.
Thank you, Jan. So as Anne mentioned, we are entering new normal, and it's essential for us to ensure that we provide a safe workplace to our employees. So to begin this, I have logged into this particular demo system as an employee of an organization. And as you could see, I have a variety of services that they can access at my fingertips in a one-stop shop mode. So to begin with, so let me assume that the organizations will now need to open up the offices. And the first thing, as Anne mentioned, was to roll out a survey to them and probably try to gauge their willingness to come to office, and also see the level of preparedness. So, and see how we can actually gain some insights in the form of an interesting dashboard. So I'll begin with this. So what the organizations can do, have this employee readiness survey widget reflecting here for the employees. All I can do as an employee is just click on this employee readiness survey, and then it takes me to this particular survey form. And then I can enter in my information about where I'm located currently, and to have kids, and I have to take any special precautions before I come to office. Are there any family considerations that I'll need to take to come to office? Or is your house located in any one of the infected regions, highly infected regions? And most importantly, considering the current situation, are you willing to come to office if it opens up? Right? So I can answer all of these questions and then just click on submit button. So what are we trying to solve here? So unlike previously, probably you want to gauge the employee preparedness, rolling out emails, or probably spending a lot of time in consolidation through Excel sheets, and then probably trying to gain an insight. All of these things is getting eliminated with this one single survey form. The questions that you see can be completely configured as per your requirements. You want to just remove question number 1 and add few more additional questions on top of this, you can always do that. Now, the advantage of this is this particular survey can be rolled by teams. So you want to send this survey to only specific teams across different locations, or you want to send it by locations, you can decide that in the form of a single click. So with this, once an employee has answered this survey, what is in for the facilities head is they can view the dashboard in terms of who has taken this survey, who are willing to come to office, who are not willing to come to office, how many of the employees are located in highly infected or containment regions, how many employees have their own transport arrangements to come to office. So this information definitely plays a crucial role to understand the preparedness of employees, and thereby enabling the facilities head to make the informed decisions. Unlike previously, it's important that we consider the safety of our employees as the utmost priority, and also ensure that we get information from them and also what they think about coming to office. Likewise, you can also get to see a trend of employees who have taken the survey, how breakdown on how many are willing to come to office, how many are not willing to come to office. That's so if your organization is spread across multiple locations, you can get to see by locations how many have taken the survey, how many have not taken the employee readiness survey, and so on. So this was the first use case which we discussed on the employee readiness survey. The next important thing, as Anne mentioned, was recording the employee status health. So what I'm going to do now is you can roll out the self-diagnosis tests to your employees, just not as a doctor, but probably recording their status so that you can make some informed decisions whenever there's a need for it. So as you can see your icon over here, this is Cindy. Cindy is our AI-driven digital agent. And you can interact with Cindy, and she intelligently understands what you're asking for, and then she asks a set of questions, and then you'll be getting something on your email or probably out there on the screen. So I clicked on Cindy, and then she's a digital agent. Now she's here to help us during this pandemic. So first thing that I'm going to do is quickly take a COVID assessment test, and for this demonstration, I've already entered. So Cindy asks me questions related to symptoms of COVID-19, and then I'm answering them one by one. So once I've answered all of these questions, so Cindy actually tells me, thank you for taking this test. The results will be emailed to you shortly. So what exactly Cindy does is Cindy scans your responses and then sends out probably you are at low risk or there's a high risk probability. So in case of high risk, what it also does is it sends an automated email to the facilities of that particular location stating that one of the employees is reporting high risk. In addition, what we have is a self-assessment report as to how many employees have taken this test, how many are assessed as safe, how many are assessed with medium risk or with high risk. So as an organization, as an enterprise, it's important for you to actually gauge this information so you have this ready in your fingertips. In addition, you can get to see now these there are employees with a probability of a medium risk or a high risk. You have a breakdown by locations, from which locations are these employees coming from, so that you know whether the facilities in these locations are actually prepped for taking enough measures, and what are all the measures that you need to take actually is getting fine-tuned by getting to see which are all the most high priority locations if your office is spread across multiple locations. You can also gauge the response breakdown, how many said that they would not prefer to answer any questions, how many said they're experiencing some symptoms, and how many said they do not have any symptoms. In addition, trend of employees at risk. So this basically, the blue line shows how many employees have taken this self-assessment test, and out of these many employees, these many are at risk. So if you see that 10 employees are at risk, on this particular day. So this way we can gauge this information. On one hand, you have out of the box dashboards. In addition, you can have automated emails being sent to the respective locations, facilities, emergency response teams, and whoever necessary is concerned. So there's a second use case, and you can also interact with Cindy for tips for a healthy lifestyle, or probably you are curious to know about the hygiene in office. So what is the organization doing to maintain hygiene? So you can quickly chat with Cindy and then ask about the hygiene in office, and then she would respond with particular measures that the office has taken up. So these is completely configurable as per your requirement, and you can have Cindy answer all of the health related questions that your employees would have. So going on to the third use case, once we've covered this, we have now taken an employee readiness survey, we have completed the test, we have also seen how Cindy can answer questions with respect to tips for a healthy lifestyle or probably hygiene in office. The most important thing in this new normal would be the self-check-in process when the employees start coming to office, right? So we have this self-check-in process, which is mandatory for every employee. So they click on that self-check-in and you are coming to this particular form out here. And then you can see there are a set of questions that are being asked and you have to simply answer them, saying, in the last 24 hours, have you experienced any of these symptoms? So I can say, yes, I've experienced cough, fever, not experiencing any symptoms. And then, are you coming from an highly infected area? Have you come in contact with a COVID-19 positive person in the last 24 hours? You can say yes or no. What is your mode of transport to come to office? So are you coming by carpool or by cab or by public transport or by your own vehicle? Have you taken all the necessary precautions while coming to office? So these questions are some of them which you can see. However, in case you want to add more responses to this or probably add more questions, that's completely configurable. So you can do it yourself and then have this spin out for your organization. You can also have a mandatory checklist out there which says, hereby declare that I'll follow social distancing principles while in office. I'll mandatorily report any COVID-19 positive case in this portal. I'll mandatorily wear the mask, or I'll abide by all the policies implemented in the organization. So based upon your responses, a risk level is automatically determined. So as I've answered all of them in a neutral manner, so it's saying it's green. So in case I'm saying I'm having fever, and then it immediately changes to red. And the advantage of this is the security in every layer at the entry points would simply check this particular reading, and along with the status recording or the temperature recording, they would be allowed to come to office. And this is implemented by some of the organizations already. And in addition, what happens is, in case if there's a red risk, automated email is being sent to the facilities of that location that there's an employee at the entry point who is actually reporting some risks related to COVID-19, and then the necessary measures can be taken. In addition, you have a complete control of this, and probably you're transforming digitally from the paper forms or probably by Excel sheets recording. In addition, we can have a complete control of how many employees have checked in by location, by day wise, and also control the traffic in the organization. So there's the the fourth use case that we talked about is the self-check-in process. In addition, we have various COVID-19 special services that comes out of the box as part of this Safe Workplace Enabler Suite. While there are many of them, I'll be considering a specific case. The most important case is, let me assume I have come to office and I know that as they come to office, there could be one of our colleagues who is tested positive for COVID-19. While we would not want that, but in case if that happens, what should we do, right? So there are a lot of things. So say, for example, how do we control the panic? How do we ensure we keep all of the employee in that office location about this particular COVID-19 positive case? In addition, there is a sanitization that needs to be done. Now, what if this sanitization is going to be done by some other vendors out there? how do you actually manage the communications? And everything has to happen instantaneously. There is no room for time over here. So, and now I'm now going to click on this report COVID-19 positive case, and you'll land onto this particular form out here. Right. So first thing that I will be doing is reporting this case. That's the only thing that I need to do is come onto the system, and then I have to report the case whichever I'm aware about. The facilities can do it on your behalf, or you can do it for your colleague, or you can do it for yourself. So the advantage of this is the rest of the workflows are automatically triggered, and the respective teams are alerted with respect to this. Let me quickly fill this form out here. So I'm just going to say who is tested positive. I can say it's for my colleague or for myself. If I'm saying my colleague, it will ask me to fill this employee who is actually reported positive. And then has that particular person visited the office recently? And then please specify the office location that he has visited. When was the last date when he or she visited the office? I can fill in that particular date out here. And then I can also have the primary contact tracing. Say, please select the primary contacts with whom the patient is coming in contact with. I can select the persons who has come in contact with this particular COVID-19 infected person, and also specify, has this particular person visited any conference rooms? Has this person visited the executive cabins? Has this person visited the pantry? Why am I recording all of this information? Because it's important that we sanitize all of these areas, because there would be other employees who would be actually visiting these areas, and we get to cover all of that, right? So that being said, on one hand, only thing that the employees will need to do is probably fill in this form. After this, the primary contacts are alerted, saying that one of the employees whom you actually interacted with in these times has been tested positive for COVID-19. On the other hand, the facilities is alerted that this particular employee has been tested positive. So the facilities of the location, this particular office location, would be quickly alerted, and they would get to initiate the sanitization automatically. The vendor who would be performing the sanitization, they are alerted, and everything is automated. In addition, we have a complete control over how many employees have reported positive for COVID-19. Out of these positive employees who have reported positive, how many have visited the office? It's more important to know how many have visited the office. And now these employees are from which locations is also important to understand. So probably these many employees have been tested positive for COVID-19, but these many employees have visited the office. The other thing what we would want to understand is, okay, out of these locations, these many have been tested positive. How many employees are present in that location? So you can also get to see a quick count of these employees who are in this infected region. So you can quickly send out a broadcast mail saying that this office will be sanitized from so and so time, and then probably you'll need to you'll be quarantined, or probably would be working from home during this time. And also the sanitization status of these particular locations. So these locations have these particular sanitizations in which is a team in charge, what's the current status of that sanitization, what is the average sanitization time, and all of these things can be recorded. While I would like to take a quick pause and then probably summarize all of the other things in the next 1 minute, is yes, these are some of the use cases that you saw. Just a quick cover, we cover about the employee readiness surveys, taking a diagnosis test, and then probably interacting with Cindy to get answers to your questions with respect to hygiene, social distancing, or probably the do's and don'ts during COVID-19. So as an organization, you can spread awareness about COVID-19. And also we saw how with one single form, you can report a COVID-19 case, and the rest of the processes are automatically triggered. The most important advantage is you have complete control of all of the information, thereby deciding or taking the necessary actions that would be essential. In addition, as I mentioned before, we also have work from home. So we definitely know there will be a surge in work from home. How do we manage work from home requests? And this new normal, how do you manage the vendor and guest appointments, how do you report travel history and then initiate the necessary workflows, also request for immediate assistance. It could be medical assistance, it could be emergency cab services, or it could be a request for essential supplies. And also, how do you automate the cleaning and disinfection processes? You want to have disinfection done at your office every week, every month. You can also automate that. So respective alerts get triggered, everyone has tasks created for them. And the important advantage of this is everything can be done from your mobile. I'm doing this demonstration from the web application, but you can also have this done from the mobile application as well. So that everything is in your fingertips. You can access all of this service in one-stop shop. That I would like to cover this. We'd be happy to answer the questions. And also we have many more use cases. You can always contact us to get a detailed demonstration of each of these use cases. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kishore, for this really insightful demo. I always like it when you actually show it and how it works, because that makes it way more tangible and makes people understand how all those use cases work. So I hope that this demo provided everyone with the information on how do you manage and work with this in practice. And also, especially, what kind of reports do you get out of the system so that you are in control always. And I think that's one of the most important lessons of this whole pandemic. It happens to every company, but that does not mean that we cannot get in control over it. So the system and the Safe Workplace Enabler Suite that we just showcased to you is really a way to get in control of the disease and make sure that you provide the systems, the workflows, and the automation in order to deal with that on a day-to-day basis. So we're getting towards the end of our webinar. I would like now to open up for questions. I already saw a couple of questions coming in while Kishore was presenting. So for the next 5 minutes, I would like to open up a bit for Q&A. And if you have any questions, please ask them in the Q&A box on the screen, and we will start answering some of these questions. The first question that we received is from Anne, and she asked, what is the price for this particular solution? And importantly, what is the implementation period? So let me take a moment to answer that particular question. What we've done with this particular solution is that we've provided it as a software as a service solution, meaning that it's a pay per person per month kind of model. And there are a number of tiers. So we have different tiers for small organizations, small, medium enterprises, and then also for the multinational companies. So the nice or the good thing about this platform is that there's multiple different ways to subscribe. So if you just want to test it out, you can take a 1-month subscription. But if you want to see that this is for a longer period of time, you can also sign up for a 6-month or a 1-year prescription, meaning that this is longer embedded in your organization. So it's other than that, the price is very simple. There's a price per user. And if you would like to know what the price for your size of organization would be, please contact me after the webinar and we'll be happy to make your quotation. The second key question is, what is the implementation period? Maybe this is a good question to answer for Kishore.
Sure. So, so with this particular out-of-the-box Safe Workplace Enabler Suite, you can go live in 10 days. However, this covers around 15 plus workflows. In addition, if you would need some additional workflows, then it would be a nominal implementation period. But with the out-of-the-box suite, you can go live in just 10 days.
Okay, that's really fast. One of the next questions I received is from Thomas, and he says, is this a SaaS solution or is it also possible on premise? Kishore,
yes,
can you provide us some technical details about the solution itself?
Sure. So this particular model can be deployed both on-premise as well as on cloud. So if it's on cloud, everything would be replicated, the code image would be spinned out, and this particular suite would be there. Likewise, for the on-premise case, we can have this particular solution enabled. It supports
Good,
both deployment models.
good. Thank you so much. Then I see a question coming in from Vinak, and the question is, what is it possible to customize all of the workflows to our specific company policies, or is it all pre-programmed in the solution itself?
Yeah. So we have a workflow designer, out of the box workflow designer. So the workflows are out of the box available. However, you can completely customize it as per your requirement. There's a front end from which you can decide how the workflow should be as per your organization needs.
Okay, so follow-up question from my side, does that require a lot of technical knowledge?
Well, absolutely not. So it's basically everything is in the form of a form and probably a drag and drop workflow designer component. You can just drag and drop and then create the workflow.
Okay. Thanks so much, Kishore. I think that was the last question that came in. Yes, it is. So that brings us towards the end of the webinar. Once again, I would really like to thank everybody again for joining today and joining with such large numbers. If you are interested in this particular solution, or you want to have a more personal private demo, either remote or in your office, if you have a good SLP, you can reach out to us either through the website or online. And I've also shared my contact details, so please feel free to reach out to me at any moment after this webinar. Before we say goodbye, I wanted to take a quick moment to thank everybody from SummitAI who helped us to put this demo and webinar together in such a very short period of time, especially Kishore for providing this very comprehensive demo. I think this was really insightful. So thank you so much to everybody from the team from SummitAI, and thank everybody else for watching the webinar today. And I really hope to see you again on one of our upcoming webinar series. Thank you so much, and until we meet again.